Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing? Today we're going to be talking about some eyeshadow palettes that I do not regret not purchasing, palettes I'm glad I didn't buy. Basically, I don't know, maybe a month ago now at this point, I did a video on all the palettes I wish I had bought, and I mentioned that when I was looking for that list and like trying to, you know, come up with the video, basically, I saw so many older palettes that I was glad I didn't purchase, and you guys had mentioned that you were interested to see what those ones were. So I went through today and I picked out 10 different eyeshadow palettes, and these are basically all palettes that I at least had mild interest in, because there's a lot of palettes out there that I didn't care about and then I never cared about, and that's fine. But these were ones I was kind of like a little bit like interested, maybe I'll buy it, considering it, and I decided not to, and I'm glad that I didn't. Sometimes the reasoning is more intense and specific, and sometimes it's just that I don't even think about the palette anymore, as simple as that is. So let's go ahead and jump on into my list. So the first palette I want to talk to you guys about is this one from Goss. This is the luxury eyeshadow palette in the shade Pearl Moonstone, I believe. And this one I just really liked when I first saw it. I thought that it was a really beautiful, cute, cool tone color story, and I was kind of like, maybe one day I'll eventually pick it up. I think I even put it in my cart and I thought about it, and then I like exited it out of the page, and I just never ended up going back or thinking about it again, specifically because I saw Tim Talia review this and she gave it a pretty low rating. I want to say that most of the shades were either like C's or D's, and I feel like she has really great honest reviews, and normally products that she says are not good are not good. So that kind of just talked me out of purchasing this, especially considering that it is $55. So like I said originally, I thought it was super cute. I still think it is a cute palette, but I just have absolutely no interest in buying it, and I think that if I had bought it, I would have regretted it, so I'm glad that I didn't. Next, we have a palette from Black Moon Cosmetics, and this is the Urban Myth palette, and I still think that this is cute. It's a cute packaging. It's their first eyeshadow palette that Black Moon did that grabbed my attention, and I think what I realized is that just because they've done all these other palettes that were like neutral, or they did one that was all shimmer, and they weren't my cup of tea, that just because they come out with something that I like a little bit more doesn't mean that I need to buy it. Because when I look at this, even though originally I was like, yeah, that's cute, like, I don't know, it just doesn't do that much for me now looking at it, and I just feel like the color story is a little bit lackluster. I also feel like I heard mixed reviews about this. Next, we have a palette from Natasha, and this is the Triochrome palette, and I would say I kind of had mixed feelings about this. Like at first I was kind of like, I don't really want this. I just liked the like color story, but I didn't like the price in consideration with only getting 3 multi-chromes, and it just wasn't for me. I feel like I actually did hear pretty good reviews about this and decent things were said, but I did a full dupe using my single shadows for this, and that definitely helped me get over the initial wanting to purchase it. And I'm glad that I did that, because even when I started to see really good things being said about it, it kept me strong. So I would say overall, like, even though there was like moments where I was like, oh, it is pretty, I just feel like for $129, I haven't really thought about it in a long time. And I have so many other amazing multi-chromes. Even since then, I've purchased I've purchased a few different multi-chromes from Gliona, like true, like extreme multi-chromes, and they're just so good. I feel like the multi-chromes that are in this palette would not even compare at all. And I've got plenty of mattes, so basically the reasons for not buying it to begin with have continued to stay true, and I'm glad I didn't get it. Next, we have one that I felt so much relief when I saw bad reviews about this, because I decided to skip on it. I think this was another one that there was like multiple palettes coming out that I was interested in, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just get 2, I'm gonna skip some, and this was one of the ones that I ended up skipping even though I was interested in it. So this is the Colored Raine Juicy Boost palette, and the reason I was interested in it is because I love their Safari Rain palette so much. But I heard that the formula on this was different. There's only 3 shimmers, and I just heard that the mattes in this palette were like pressed pigments, hard to blend, like just, I did not hear good things, and I saw a lot of people having issues with it. So when I saw that it was just like, oh, thank goodness I didn't buy that palette. especially because some of these other ones have return policies where if it's like you don't like it, then you can return it, get your money back. But I know Colored Raine does not, so that was definitely one of the like top palettes in this list that I'm glad I did not buy. And then next we have one from Glamlite. This is the chocolate donut palette, and I meant to buy this palette actually. It was part of the Chocolate Factory box, and I did not plan to buy the box just because overall the only thing that I wanted was the palette, and I just thought it'd be silly to spend like $45 on a box and only want one of the things that were in there. So I was like, you know what, whenever the palette is available individually, I will probably pick it up. And I got told afterwards that the palette had been available individually, I just had missed it. And by the time that happened, I think it sold out. And even though originally I was interested in this because it's Glamlite and I really like them, and I was like, ooh, they're doing a neutral palette, I mean, I just didn't get it because it was sold out, and I don't know if it's ever came back because honestly I haven't thought about it since. And even now looking at this palette, I'm like, I think I just wanted it because it was Glamlite, and I just wanted it because they were doing something different, and I think that the donuts are cute, but actually looking at them like, is this like an interesting neutral palette? Like, I don't really understand why I even wanted it in the first place. Like, these aren't really my neutral tones. None of the shimmers really make me super happy. Like, yeah, I'm just glad that I didn't purchase it, even though originally at launch, if I had realized it was available individually, I probably would have. So it worked out, I guess. Next, we have the Artist Couture and Static John collection. I don't remember what this palette was even called, but I saw this picture and I was like, oh yeah, I was interested in that. I thought that was a super cute collaboration. I thought the color story was cute. I don't really have anything bad to say about this palette. It's just the fact that I was like, oh yeah, that existed, and I have not thought about it in months. I'm glad I didn't buy it because if it's easy to forget about, then I definitely don't need it in my collection. And then next we have the Raw Beauty Kristi and ColourPop collection. And this palette specifically, I was kind of interested in purchasing just because I really like Raw Beauty Kristi, and the price was really affordable, but I talked myself out of it because it looked similar to a Cindy Grace palette that I have that I don't really love the color story of. I don't really reach for all that often, so I was kind of like, nah, like I don't need it. I don't think I would use it that often. And I considered it, like on launch, I was like, maybe, like it's just so affordable, and it ended up not purchasing it. And honestly, still to this day, I look at the color story and like I think that it's aesthetically pleasing. Like I think it'd be really cute for like a house or something, like to design in those colors, or I don't even know. But as a palette, I still just don't feel like, ooh, those are my colors or anything like that. So even though it is super affordable, it's one less palette cluttering my space, and I just think that if I had gotten it, I probably would not have used it that much, so I'm glad I didn't buy it. Next we have this palette from P. Louise, and I don't even remember what this one was called either. I feel like I remember having a weak moment and considering purchasing this one just because I really liked the mixture of blues and greens, and there's like a little bit of grungy olive, and I thought that it was cute, and I saw a lot of people do really cute looks with it. But again, it's just another one where I was going through, like I looked through like Hot Fire Makeup and just different new makeup accounts, and I was like, oh yeah, that existed. And I'm just glad I didn't pick it up because again, I just feel like my makeup style has changed a lot, and even though the colors look very vibrant, I don't feel like I would use it that often. So yeah, glad I didn't buy it. I feel like the reasons for this aren't super deep or anything like that, but you guys wanted to see this video, so you asked, I'm delivering. This next palette is the Natasha Circo Loco palette, and this one, I just don't love the color story overall. I wish that the orange shades were popped out because a lot of the shades in here are pretty, but something about it just throws me off. And I remember like a long time ago seeing a sneak peek of this and being like, oh wow, like Natasha is coming out with a colorful palette, and like being slightly intrigued. But then when I actually like really looked at it, I was like, I don't know, it's not for me. And then I saw like so many different reviews and just people raving about this and saying that it is a really great palette. And I still look at it and I like individual pieces, but I think it's just another case of I don't want to spend $129 for Natasha on a palette if I don't love every single bit of it. I just don't want to live with that regret. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention that I went back and forth about purchasing, I almost did, but it sold out and I was just like, you know what, whatever. And then I saw mixed reviews and it was just a whole thing. So this is the newest palette of this entire list that I have to mention. It is the Melt Cosmetics Mary Jane palette, and I just really love the color story. The inside of the palette is super, super cute. I just love the cool tones and I still think it's adorable, but I just feel like I have so many other things that I can get similar looks out of. And I've seen some people saying this is an amazing melt palette. I've seen some people saying that it's a lackluster palette, that's just not good, that Melt has lost their magic, all kinds of things. So I'm just very like hesitant to purchase their eyeshadows anymore. And I don't know. I guess basically when I saw this and I was scrolling through, I was like, I still think it's beautiful, but like after giving it a little bit of time, thinking about it more, it becoming less shiny, sparkly, and new, I'm just like, you know what, it's cute, but I can live without it, and I have plenty of other things. I recently picked up the ColourPop Stone Cold Fox palette, which is not probably the same when it comes to like shimmers, but I just feel like it has like similar vibes, and it was way less expensive, and I'm enjoying this so much. I've done like 3 looks with it already, and I just think it's a really good palette. So I'm glad I picked this one up finally after a really long time. I feel like having this ColourPop palette makes not buying the Melt one even easier and even less tempting, so I'm glad that I didn't pick it up. Alright, so those are all 10 of the palettes I had to talk about today. I'd be super curious to hear if there's any eyeshadow palettes you were tempted or considering to purchase and then you didn't and you were glad, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!